Hello again, you're with RT. Now, a US court has ruled that a woman can destroy frozen embryos that her ex-husband wants to save. Her lawyers successfully argued that the embryos were property and not human lives. Well, Jessica Bilbao and Timothy Goodwin had signed an agreement that in case of divorce, the embryos would be discarded. But when Bilbao filed for divorce, her husband changed his mind and called for the embryos to be donated to another couple. However, the Connecticut Supreme Court gave control of the embryos to Bilbao, although Goodwin's appeal argues the embryos are human lives.
Are we going to err on the side of life or the side of death? That's the real issue here.
It is clear that embryos are not treated as a legal person precisely for those concerns over what that would mean for procreative rights and the rights of privacy.
We discussed this sensitive story with a former judge, Joseph Sokola, and also with women's rights advocate, Reese Everson.
I think they did it the right way because in this particular instance, when this family or when this couple went to the clinic to, do in vitro fertilization, they signed a contract agreeing to destroy the embryos if they decided to divorce.
Even when we use the term pre-embryo, and I understand the court used that term, it's really semantic gymnastics. It's just another designation to try to dehumanize what's human. There are thousands and thousands of these human embryos in these IVF clinics all around the country, and people don't know what to do with them. And it just seems to me a common sense approach should be, well, why don't we give those children up for adoption to couples who want them?
Let's just give that child to someone else. Let's think about that in the larger scheme of things. You're basically telling a mother, I'm going to give your child away and let someone else raise your child. Frankly, I think it's offensive to the mother to say, I'm going to take the egg that you created, that you wanted to raise, and give it to someone else and allow them to raise a child that you haven't decided to create.
Nobody's forcing anyone to do anything. The end result of what my colleague, the argument she's making is it's better to destroy the embryo than allow someone else to raise it. It just seems to me that there's no harm to anyone allowing the father to take it and donate it. There are federal programs now in federal centers that allow couples to quote-unquote adopt these human embryos and then use them in implantation and allow the child to grow.
People have the right to decide and write on paper how they want their embryos treated if they divorce, and that's the right way to go. We cannot stray from their decision at that time. If we do, we allow these contracts to mean absolutely nothing.
If we look at this strictly as a contractual matter, I think that really leans more toward seeing the human embryo as just a piece of property, and I just don't agree with that. Why can't we err on the side of life? Again, this is not a question where there's an egg and a sperm that haven't been combined. Okay, they've been combined, a human embryo has been formed. Human life begins at conception.
There's conception and then there's preconception. And what the court decided, absolutely correct in this case, was that these embryos are preconception. Yes, you have the sperm, and yes, you have the egg, and yes, they have combined to create an embryo. I think it's absolutely asinine. It strips the right of the woman and the mother, or either parent, frankly, to create a child that these two parents are saying, we don't want this child to exist.
Why do we have to destroy it? What is the public policy in favor of that? That's my problem.